Hi everybody, we are excited to welcome you to today's show of Quarantrain Your Dog. We are going to be doing a couple of new things. We're showing you a behavior that you have not seen before, but it's fundamental for service dogs, and that is opening doors. And we are hanging out here for a second just to give folks a chance to join us. We are going to be showing you tugging a door open, and I know a lot of you have dogs that like to play tug of war, and this is one of the behaviors we can shape that natural playful behavior into, opening a door. And after that, we're going to have our first ever special guest on Quarantrain Your Dog, and that is our magician friend from Esther's Follies, Ray Anderson. And we are going to be doing an interview. This is Sherry. I'll be interviewing Ray about how he prepares his dogs to be his magical assistants and his illusions he performs at Esther's Follies in Austin, which has been an Austin favorite for over 40 years. So it looks like we've got a couple of people. I see Elizabeth has joined us. Hi, Elizabeth. Elizabeth used to be on our staff, and she has her own great dog training business back in Alabama. So we hope you're doing well out there. And I see 5 people have joined us. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm going to introduce you can see in the reflection, to Taylor Smith, and there's Dina. Hi, Dina.
Hi.
Dina makes sure everything on the facility is ship-shape, and this is Sky. So Taylor and Sky are going to talk about working the opening door behavior. Before you saw us do this with the automatic door opener, but those things are not always available, so here is how we can train a dog to just tug open a commercial door.
So one of the behaviors we like to train is tugging, and we want our dogs to be able to tug on any kind of door. And when our clients go out in public, these big, heavy public doors don't always have a push button. So we like to teach our dogs to tongue stick. And we like our clients to carry a big carabiner that stays open with a tongue tie at the end of it. It's an old tie you can find in Goodwill, attached to the carabiner, and it stays open because you just strap it back. And so you take this and you put it on the door handle. Now granted, these big lobby doors have different kind of handles, but for the most part this is pretty common, and then the dog will tongue this open. That's the idea. Now once they get it open, the client will either eat a wheelchair, a walker, or a cane, will put his or her foot here, or the wheel of the wheelchair, stop it so they can hold it open, have the dog come around, do a front, and roll through the doorway. And that's an easy way for them to get into the building. Now, a lot of these big public heavy doors are at malls, department stores, big office, government buildings, anything like that. So it's really important that our dogs know how to do these kind of heavy tugging. So I'm going to show you that Sky can do it. Right, Sky? Good. He's eager to do it. Sky, close. Good boy. Sit. Now I want him to wait. I don't want him to impulsively go and tug it without me telling him. So I want him to practice self-control. So I'm going to switch sides with him.
Okay, I'll come around too.
And then he's going to tug it this way, which is why I'm moving. So when the client comes up, we want to make sure that they can move their dog over, and that's something we also teach them how to do. Tug. Yes, good boy. So you see how I waited for him to open it all the way, and I don't say yes until I got it where I want him to be. So now I'm going to put my foot here, bring him over to this side. Good boy. Run. Back. Good boy. Yes. So we asked our dogs to do a Sky here. Good boy. Do a front, and then they back up as you walk or wheel through the doorway. So it makes it very easy for the client to enter. because it's very difficult. Sometimes doorways are not big enough to where the dog can just walk side by side with you through the doorway, so it's just easier to do a front and a back. And then you can put your dog back into a close and continue on into the building. So.
And I want to thank Tanya Andrews for joining us, and also Kim DeRoner Dawson. Thank you so much for joining us. So Taylor, those doors are pretty heavy. Is it hard for the dog to pull on something that heavy, or are they strong enough to do it comfortably?
So we want to make sure our dogs are strong enough and big enough so little dogs, like our hearing dogs, cannot do this type of work. So that's why our service dogs can do a lot of our labs, our shelter mixes and stuff like that. They are heavy. So the process is when they first start tugging it, they'll tug it to here and say, okay, I'm done. That's it. And we have to teach them, that's not when we want you to stop tugging. You want to keep tugging until you hear the trainer say yes, then you can let go of the tongue tie and get a reward for that. So it's a step-by-step process, but they learn eventually is one big motion of opening the door and getting a lot of straight into it.
And what kind of clients would use this sort of a behavior with their service dog?
A lot of clients in wheelchairs mostly use them, sometimes walkers, sometimes a cane, depending on if they can multitask with a cane and a service dog and opening that heavy door. So it just depends on the client.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
Oh, and Sarah's joining us too. Sarah is another one of our former trainers who has a wonderful dog training business, and she is based out of Wimberley, but we refer a lot of clients to her, both for service dogs where they might have their own dog, or pet dog training, and that's Sarah Bond. And let us know if you want to get Sarah's contact information, or if you're in Alabama, if you want to get Elizabeth's. So we're going to walk in now, and I'm going to turn the camera over to Dina, and here is a Austin favorite. Oh, hi, Kenny. Kenny just joined us. He's one of our graduates. He has Ruby. So this is Austin favorite, Ray Anderson, and his magic dog, Bosco. And Bosco is a guest dog today, and I'm going to pass the camera to Dina and join Ray.
Can you say hi?
We're maintaining social distancing. But Ray, thank you so much for joining us
Of course,
today.
yes.
Now, I hope all y'all who have lived in Austin for a while have gotten to check out Esther's Follies. It's something I like to do several times a year, and my birthday's coming up. It's Wednesday, but I'm going to get a rain check to go to Esther's when they open up again. But Ray has been the magician there for how many years?
Over 30 years since I first started with Esther's, long time.
And he is a favorite both for the creativity and the humor and the drama and even the romance he puts and the originality into his illusions. But a big crowd favorite is that he uses his own dogs in several of the illusions. So I wanted to chat with him about that kind of dog training because it's so fascinating to us.
Sure. Well, I've been using my own pets in the show for really almost 25 years. And a lot of times people think that my pets are highly trained, but that's not really true. There's just some tricks that we do to keep them comfortable in the show, but they don't really do like dog tricks like you would see in a circus or anything.
They're not picking your card.
That's right, yeah. But the cool thing is that my dogs get to go to work with me, so we're together 24/7. But I would say that the dogs 80% of the time, 90% of the time are just regular old loving housebound pets. So.
And I know that you use white dogs in your act.
Right.
Why is that?
Simply because they show up better on stage. A lot of times the boxes that they're in are black in color on the inside, and so that way it shows the dogs up a little bit more.
Well, we promised we aren't going to ask you to give away any of your secrets, but
Right.
can you tell people a little bit about some of the illusions the dogs are in
Sure.
without giving anything away so
Right.
they can understand the craft that goes into it?
Most of the time the illusions, they appear and disappear and reappear somewhere else, or maybe a girl turns into a dog. I believe I shared a video of a routine that we did for many years at Esther's where Matilda, my big dog, who was 80 pounds, appeared magically. So that's the basic duties, but also Bosco here I know. He's at the end of the show. We do a thing outside the windows. Esther's is famous for their windows out where you could see outside onto 6th Street. And at the end, we do a Cry Me a River thing while Shannon inside sings Cry Me a River, and all of a sudden water starts to rise outside, and there's this whole scenario. And at one point, Bosco goes by on a little boat. The SS Puppy Chow.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's the big finale. That's when I get sad because I know the show's over.
Yeah, right. And so that's his one extra duty that he does.
So when you get a new dog, because you said you've been doing this for decades,
Right.
what goes into getting the dog ready for this? Because
Sure.
it's the illusion and it's the theater environment with a cheering audience and lights and music and other
Right.
cast members.
Mhm. Well, the first thing you do is, when you get a new dog, is you want to kind of watch them to see if it's really something that they're going to be interested in doing. Because I also have had dogs in the past that didn't really take to showbiz. So if it's not their thing, or if they feel scared or very concerned, then usually that just means they're not going to be a part of the show. But somebody like Bosco here and his brother Leroy, who was in the show for many years, were naturals. And the first thing that I do is just get them used to being held in a certain way at home. So the position that they're in when they're in the show, and I'm holding them, is just like this, and that's very natural to them. But then the next thing that we do is we teach them how to get put into boxes that don't have any light. Some dogs that's a little difficult for. So little Bosco here and his brother Leroy were so small that I just used a shoebox in the beginning. So we would sit on the bed, and then you put them in the box for a little bit, and then you open it back up and praise them for it. And that's really how it all kind of starts. It's just them getting used to being put into, and like I think we've talked before, they're not in the illusions for very long. Usually around 18 to 20 seconds, somewhere up to a minute maybe. But the boxes in size would be not unsimilar to, say, if you were putting your dog in a kennel, a crate box for a period of time. It's just the difference is that there's no light. So they have to be comfortable with that. But they adapt to that very easily. And then the next thing we do is we start teaching them the illusion. And rather than taking them down to the theater right away, what I do is we bring the illusions home. And many of the illusions are custom designed for the size of the dog, and so I might have had the dog for quite some time before the illusion is finally built and shipped to me, either from Vegas or LA. And rather than shipping it to the theater, we ship it home. And we start in with them when they're puppies, getting them used to doing the magic trick. And it becomes very comfortable to them because they're doing it in their own living room, and they're very comfortable in the surroundings, and there's not a crowd noise or anything like that. So they actually learn the magic trick before they learn to do to be around the show, which is a very different thing. There's many sounds and activities that are happening at the theater that are very different from their normal, home lifestyle. So the next thing that happens is they start going to work with me, and I take them in, and even though they're not performing in the show, they go and they hang out with me in my dressing room. And I have some people think that the dogs are in crates. I could never do that. We're up there in my dressing room, which is on the second floor. I have a day bed up there, and it takes up almost half of my dressing room, and the dogs just hang out up there. So it becomes very second nature for them to come and be at the show and hang out in my dressing room, which again seems just like an extension of the house. And they go there and they hang out with me, and we're together all the time. And they're not really performing, but they're hearing the sounds of the crowd.
I guess they're smelling things too.
They're smelling things, and also the theater just has a different vibe, and dogs pick up on that. The energy is different, and they're around more people all of a sudden who want to touch them and pet them and that sort of thing. And before and after the show, we allow the dogs, as I'm leaving, that kind of thing, can interact with the crowd out in the lobby, or before the show they interact with other cast members and become comfortable that way. But the main thing is the energy of the crowd. It's very hard to duplicate that anywhere else except at the theater. So they're listening to all of that, and it becomes sort of in the back of their mind when they're there, and they become comfortable with the noises like loud applause or laughter or oohs and ahs that happen in magic. And then, by the time they get on stage, it's second nature to them.
Is there a certain amount of time that stage lasts where they're just hanging out and absorbing things?
I start taking my dogs as soon as they're potty trained a lot of times. And normally a dog, both physically and mentally, can't really grasp the whole potty training thing until at least 6 or 8 months. So if it's a new dog that's not learning, that's learning from scratch, then after that they'll start coming, and there's they might come to the show good three months or so, 3 or 4 months before they finally do the trick. But you have to remember they're learning the trick at home, and then they're just adapting to the environment separately. And then the last thing that I do is put those two things together.
And I know a lot of dog trainers rely heavily on food and toys for rewards, but you don't get to do that during a performance, do you?
Yeah, I've never trained my dogs, although they get tons of treats at home, just because. But I don't train my dogs. I know you know that word.
Sorry.
It's okay. I don't train my dogs with treats at work, but they get lots of praise, and that's how we do it. So they get lots of praise when they first appear, if they're appearing in a magic trick, and they magically appear, or a girl changes into a dog, and as soon as they appear, they get the good boy or good girl praise. And then the other thing is again, we reinforce that when they go up to the dressing room. And I've had some dogs that, as soon as they appear, the big dogs in particular, that will jump out of the box and immediately go up to the dressing room, to their safe space, and wait for you to come up and praise them at the end of the act. And so we do it that way.
I know also other people in the cast handle the dogs at times, right?
Yeah. I've never, they're around them during rehearsals and stuff when they're coming in all the time, and so by the time the trick thing happens, they know all these people. So.
And this was a new question, the big dogs versus the little dogs, has there been much of a difference or a pattern to getting them used to these illusions?
Well, the only difference is the big dog illusions take up a lot of room in my living room.
Okay.
when I'm first training them at home. Some of these things are bigger than refrigerators or something like that. So, but the dogs themselves have a tendency to pick it up in equal measure, I would say. It's just that the little dogs, they get handled a lot more, but people want to hold them to get photos and things like that. Whereas the big dogs, they have to be good and sit, but not be handled as much.
And has one of your dogs ever surprised you during a performance?
Oh, a few times. We have a new dog, Wally, who is learning a new trick called popcorn. And it's
what does Wally look like?
Wally is he looks like a piece of popcorn. He looks like an explosion of hair and teeth. He's a golden doodle, and he's about 80 pounds. He's almost 2 years old now, but he is just starting the show. So that tells you sometimes how long it takes before they're comfortable and adapted enough to where I think they're ready. And his trick took a really long time to have made too, because it was all custom and one of my own ideas. So, but Wally, he's been coming to the show but not doing the show at first, and I accidentally left my dressing room door open, and he popped out and took curtain call with us not too long ago. Came down the stairs, walked out on
He hadn't been in the
stage.
show at all?
Never.
Oh.
And just walked out on stage and hello, and walked around all of us and said hello, and then jumped out into the audience and went down the aisle and said hi to all of them, and then came back and found me when he realized, where's Dad? And then off we went. So, usually if something goes wrong their trick, which is very rare, it concerns them. So you have to reinforce that everything's fine.
So what do you like best about having the dogs join you in the illusions?
The best part for me is that my dogs go everywhere with me. So when I'm home and they sleep with me at night, and they're with me all day. And when I go to rehearsals or shows. They're with me, and you know, almost 24/7. And I can't think of a better way to live your life than to have your dog with you all the time.
And that's the case with our service dogs also. And we've enjoyed a great friendship with Ray for several years now. And I want to tell you how much we appreciate
Oh, well,
being
I
part of the
appreciate,
service dogs family.
I appreciate what you guys do, and I've been proud to help in any way that I can. I just admire what you do here so much. And even get to be the Grand Marshal this year for the dog walk.
Yeah, we did our whole theme in honor of Ray, so our theme is dogs are magic,
Right.
because we know everybody who has a dog knows that your dog is magic, whether he's on stage with you or just bringing you a smile, especially during this time. Ray also was kind enough to MC our graduation, and our dog walk has been rescheduled to Halloween morning, October 31st, so anybody who was thinking about costumes is going to be even better, so we'll be back at the Statesman. But I really want to thank Roy and Bosco for coming out here and being part of the Service Dogs family, and thank Taylor and Sky for their training demonstration earlier, and thank Dina for filming us. We will see you next Wednesday at 2 for the next issue of Quarantraining. And if any of you would like to ask questions or request certain content or support us with a donation, please reach out to us. And we also have a whole line of dog lover merchandise in our Service Dogs Dog Lover store. So anything that you can do to support us, we appreciate, and anything we can do to support you, we're eager to. So we will see you Wednesday on Quarantraining with your dog. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm glad I could be out here today.